If there is one thing that has fascinated mankind for centuries, it's the belief that mermaids could be real. From divers to explorers, people have claimed to have seen mermaids with their own eyes. Could it be true? The origins of mermaids appear to have come thousands of years ago, but still ring true to the present day. So today, I'm going to tell you about the top 8 real mermaid sightings. 1. Zimbabwe Dam Mermaid. In 2012, construction crews in Zimbabwe were scared away from their work on the Gaul and Osborne dams by an irate mermaid. Referred to as the Mamba Muntu by the locals, the mermaids were harassing workers as they attempted to complete construction on the dams. The local workers, raised in an area of folklore and myth, believed the appearance of the Mamba Muntu to be a bad omen and refused to finish construction on the dam. The local council, in an attempt to pursue the continued construction of the dams, hired white workers to finish the job. This was an attempt to hire persons not engulfed in the legend and popularity of the Mamba Muntu sightings. However, these workers fled the construction site as well, and they vowed never to return, due to the rage and harassment of the Zimbabwe River Mermaid. In an attempt to placate the irritated mermaids, local council members and chieftains decided to perform ritual rites and cleansings to allow for further development of the dams. The natural and supernatural are often of the same realm in the country of Zimbabwe, mermaids, or just illusions of the brain and eye. 2. The Mermaid of Kiryat Yam. In 2009, mermaid fever swept through the Israeli town of Kiryat Yam, as a mermaid was making appearances at dusk, often performing tricks for locals and tourists alike. People in the town were claiming to see a being that was part young woman and part fish. The first local to have seen the mermaid claims that she was sunbathing, and as he and his friends approached her, she bounded from the sand and disappeared into the waves. They were all shocked to discover that the sunbathing woman had no legs, but a tail instead. This one sighting was not an isolated event. As word spread about the mermaid, hundreds of people came forward claiming they had seen the Kiryat Yam mermaid. The Kiryat Yam mermaid has become so popular that the town council has offered a $1 million reward for any evidence that this mysterious creature exists. So far, only passing glances have been noted, and no one is $1 million richer. 3. Active Pass Mermaid. In 1967, British Columbia became a hub of mermaid excitement when a mermaid was spotted lounging on the shore of Main Island. Ferry riders that evening saw a blonde woman sitting on the beach shore. She was topless, had long blonde hair, and the tail of a porpoise. Some witnesses became very upset, as they believed they saw the mermaid eating a salmon, raw, on the beach that day. After the sighting by the ferry passengers, the mermaid was seen one more time the following week. As the locals got swept up by the spotting of this mysterious mermaid, the town locals began to seek any information relating to her. The town newspaper, The Colonist, put up a $25,000 reward for the mermaid. Arrangements were even made for the mermaid to have room and board once she was found and successfully acclimated into the town setting. Although many believe that this entire mermaid sighting was a charade, there were still many who believed that what they saw was real. 4. Kaiwi Island Mermaids. The local villagers in Kaiwi Islands of Indonesia had a creature that they were familiar with. They called it the orang ikan, translated as man-fish. During World War II, in 1943, the Japanese soldiers stationed there learned that this was no myth. These soldiers stationed in a 555 square mile area in the islands had multiple claims of encounters with these man-fish, or as the modern world calls them, mermaids. The Japanese soldiers recorded not one, but many different sightings claiming they all saw the same thing. An amphibious creature that was mostly seen to be in the sea than on land. The marine creatures were 150 centimeters tall, having spikes on the spine, shoulders, and neck. They were said to have light pink skin, similar to salmon, and a mouth like a carp. Instead of a single tail, they had 2 frog-like long fins and long arms. One such sighting happened when a troop of soldiers came to a natural lagoon after leisurely exploring the island. The lagoon seemed normal until they saw some thrashing in the water. Suddenly, an orang ikan jumped out of the water and onto a rock. It turned, faced the soldiers, and let out a weird gurgling noise. Another same creature was seen swimming in the water towards them. They didn't seem friendly, and not knowing the creature's intentions, the soldiers started shooting at them, but the creatures escaped and disappeared out of view. A sergeant named Mr. Taro requested the villagers to inform him if any of the orang ikan were captured dead or alive. The soldiers summoned the general soon after, who saw these creatures with his own eyes as well. Mr. Taro tried his best to get the scientific community involved after the war, but, unfortunately, it didn't happen. 5. Kaiwi Point Mermaid. Jeff Liker, a diver who is a videographer at the Jack Diving Locker of Kauai, claims that he not only saw, but came into brief contact with a mermaid. He was 20 minutes off the coast of Kauai, when he saw what looked like a woman just 10 feet away, swimming with a pod of dolphins and keeping up with their fast pace, which Liker thought was obviously odd. She suddenly jumped into the air, revealing her fishtail. There were 10 people on the boat that said they saw the same thing. They were only able to see her jump twice, before she disappeared into the water. Liker thought that was all, and he dived into the water to take some photographs of marine life, perhaps hoping he would get a capture of the mermaid too. An hour later, the same mermaid brushed against him while swimming away. Liker quickly snapped images, and was able to capture her on one photo, as she swam away above them. These images were submitted to 3 high-profile photography labs, who analyzed them and said the images were real and hadn't been tampered with. 6. Sightings by Christopher Columbus. The famous explorer, Columbus, was said to have spotted 3 mermaids or sirens off the coast of Hispaniola in 1493. He had said that, unlike folklore, these creatures weren't beautiful, due to some masculine features on their faces. Historians debunked them as possible sightings of manatees. But nobody really knows what Columbus actually saw. 7. 2nd century, Gaul. Mermaid sightings weren't something that started recently. Quite the contrary, there have been claims that go as far back as the 2nd century AD. The Hellenized Syrian writer Lucian has mentioned the possible existence of mermaids in his natural history. Pliny the Elder has mentioned and describes numerous sightings of mermaids off the coast of Gaul. Mermaid corpses were found to be frequently washed up on shore with their bodies covered all over in scales. He also comments that the governor of Gaul even wrote a letter to Emperor Augustus to inform him about these creatures. 8. 18th century, Blackbeard's Logbook. One of the most famous and feared pirates in history has mentioned the possibility of mermaids in his logbook. He had instructed his crew, on several voyages, to stay away from certain charted waters, that he called enchanted, because of mermaids in these areas, that Blackbeard and his crew members had reported seeing. However, there are still differing opinions as to whether mermaids are a myth or a fact. However, based on these events, mermaids can be considered real. But it can also be a visual illusion. Are they really there? What do you think? Don't forget to leave a comment below.